Coming. Razoo, we're a crowdfunding platform for causes. Around 1.2 million nonprofits are on the Razoo platform. We've raised over 165 million for nonprofits, with nonprofits fundraising and individuals like yourself fundraising on the platform. So when Justin and I held our first Tech for Good a few months ago, the feedback that we got was it was great to for folks to mingle and encourage great conversations around tech and good, but it would be nice to actually have some kind of presentations. And I think part of the reason that Rachel has been handing out the little pieces of paper there about future topics is to try and get folks that are here in the room up here holding the mic instead of Justin and myself. So we decided this time that we'd sort of frame up the discussion around a specific topic, and a topic that I'm passionate about, and effectively a topic that sort of is really Justin's life work. And that topic is more around human trafficking, human rights, sex slavery, domestic sex slavery. So my background is actually the games business, and I found myself in Razoo a couple of years ago, and really this wasn't a world that I was exposed to, but over the last few months I found myself visiting projects in Varanasi, in India, around sex trafficking and in enforced labor camps, and then finding myself extremely involved with some initiatives that the White House is doing around domestic sex slavery. So I just wanted to share some of the things I've learned, and perhaps people here know them. To me, I was pretty amazed the more that I got involved in this world. Basically today in the world there's approximately about 28 million people enslaved. Most of those, about 80%, are enslaved in Southeast Asia. To me, what became so kind of amazing and sort of interesting was domestic sex slavery and really what that meant. I think most people, when you think of sex trafficking, you think of people in different countries abroad being forced into commercial sex exploitation and things like that. You don't really think of the idea of Americans trafficking Americans. And that's really what's happening in this country today. There's about 200,000 young girls, primarily between the ages of 12 and 14, who are every year being forced into child prostitution and sex trafficking. It's happening right now in San Francisco. San Francisco is one of the top 3 places in the United States where domestic sex slavery and child prostitution is happening. And what's incredible is vulnerable. It's really vulnerable youth. It's kids who leave home. It's kids who might have an argument with their parents one day and find themselves on the street. And effectively, 90% of kids who actually find themselves in the street within 48 hours will find themselves involved in child prostitution. So, it's really incredible. It's a business, and it's an extremely lucrative business. Pimps who have 3 to 5 girls working for them are making over $600,000 a year. It's the fastest growing criminal activity in the world today. So some of the other things that just amazed me was, someone asked me, do you happen to know what the sort of largest the largest event around sex trafficking in the US is? And the answer is the Super Bowl. And effectively, every year the Super Bowl, this year 15,000 child prostitutes were shipped in to the Super Bowl. These are American girls that were brought into this, I'm not American, but this day that, is sort of a day of family and joy and true America. So what's been kind of interesting to me is getting involved with the White House, and the Obama administration has really kind of decided to make a difference with this issue and stand up to this issue. And what's also really interesting is that it's the CTO under Obama, Tony Parks, who is the one who's really leading the charge. And I thought it was just interesting to talk about that a little bit because, technology is actually sort of part of the problem with domestic sex trafficking in the sense that it's helped actually spread it in many ways. A lot of pimps find their young victims sort of trawling on Facebook. A lot of young girls are forced every day to post ads on online sites like Craigslist, like Backdoor. A lot of young girls are using mobile technology to interact with their johns. So technology has actually kind of spread the problem. And I think what the White House is trying to do is figure out how can people in technology try and really help solve the problem. Which I think is really interesting. A lot of technology people in the Bay Area are very active in thinking about that. There have been a number of things recently. As an example, there's a national hotline for young girls involved in the sex trafficking business. But even though these girls have mobile phones, they can't actually use their phones to make calls with their pimps, but they can't actually text. So now they've recognized that, and so now they've added a whole texting mechanism to try and make it much more easier for these poor victims to interact. They're also looking at things like algorithms that can actually now determine on these online ads which ads are written by 12 to 14-year-olds as opposed to older prostitutes, and then they can pass that information to law enforcement and really try and actively help those victims. So anyway, that was just wanted to kind of frame up the issue and frame up how I think technology in this particular issue can really make a huge difference. And at this point, I just want to hand it over to Justin, who has spent so much more time thinking about and actively trying to make a difference in the world of human rights and human trafficking. And he's going to share a little bit more information about Made in a Free World and the amazing work that they're doing.
Thank you. Can you give Lesley a hand, please, real quick? I really love this woman, and I'm amazed at what Razoo's been able to do. We're a new company just on the other side of the bridge in Oakland, and we created a technology platform a few years ago with Oaktown. Yeah, I was actually talking about Fremont, but that's cool. No, Oakland. You're right. And I'm from Fremont. I can do that. We're from Oakland, and a few years ago, State Department called us and said, "Do you want to create this thing with us called Slavery Footprint?" And we thought, okay, yeah, that sounds like a really good thing. What is that? They're like, well, we don't know. We thought you'd help us figure that out. And we thought, well, that's great. We don't feel like the world needs another bummer calculator. I'm a storyteller, I'm an artist, and my background is music and film. And I've always held to the idea that Maya Angelou says that people will remember more how you made them feel than what you said to them. And for us, we feel like this issue that Lesley beautifully articulated is one in which we all agree we want to see end, and we need to be able to connect the stories of ourselves to the stories of others, and particularly stories of people that we may never meet. And so we created a Slavery Footprint as a way to be able to use technology and algorithms and data to be able to answer a question you probably never really wanted to ask yourself. Do you want to know how many slaves work for you? And we launched a Clinton Global Initiative on the 149th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. And we expected and hoped that we would get 150,000 people through the website by the 150th anniversary the next year. And we ended up getting that many in 1 week. And that is more to do with the fact, we believe, not just in our amazing prowess and creativity that we created in the website, has far more to do with the fact that people do want to know and do want to be involved. And it's incumbent upon us as activists and innovators, tech, and storytellers to be able to connect the paths and create the pathways, not just so people can know, but so that it can change and so that it can end. And the tech community here, Google's been a big part of this. Palantir and others have been a part of bringing their acumen into this space, and quite honestly, more than any other group in the world, tech companies have added more to the human rights, human trafficking space than anyone else. They have amplified the movement and moved it 10 spaces forward because they see, like us, that this is an issue of synthesis and sequencing, and not an issue of will, and not an issue of proving or whether or not it's wrong. It's clearly wrong. And really it's about being able to use an open platform. For us, when we started off, one of our values was, how do we create something so that other people can use it? And I've had a chance to meet many of you here tonight that are creating platforms, and they're generous. They have a fantastically generous orthodoxy where you want other people to find things and use your platform as a way to making the world a better place. We feel the same way. So we created Slavery Footprint, and a year later after it was launched, President Obama acknowledged it in his speech on human trafficking, and then also mentioned that we were going to be doing a new platform, which is for business. So the same thing that we've offered for individuals, we're now offering for businesses to become made in a free world. We've labeled it, we've tagged it, we've been fantastically overambitious. We're over the tips of our skis when it comes to what we want to do, but we want nothing less than to change the global economy from Oakland. So that's why we're here, because we as an organization, and you've met some of us here tonight, and we're close with Lesley, we just, at the end of the day, we just want friends. Who doesn't? We want to know our community, and we're here, and yeah, don't judge us because we're on the other side of the bay. We really want to connect with you all. That's why we're here tonight. That's why we created this, and we want to find ways in which we can serve you as well. So that's really the hope for this. Tonight, we have the incredible honor of having Razoo from Bright Funds, who is a new friend into this space, into the Tech for Good space, and we wanted to give him an opportunity to briefly share with you what they're doing, which I think is pretty darn awesome. So.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Lesley. I'm not much of a talker. I'll keep it brief. First of all, yeah, we're Bright Funds. I co-founded a company with my co-founder Ty. What we looked at was we're just like all of you. We're working in the San Francisco Bay Area, involved in technology companies. We care about things, right? I grew up in India, and for me personally, it was all about education was one of the main reasons why I feel like I've been able to do things that I've been wanting to do and been able to achieve a few things. And so education in developing countries, that's a cause that's really close to my heart. And as I started thinking about as my professional life progressed and I started doing things, I thought about things, how can I make an impact in that? And how can I support other people to have that same opportunity that I've had? So it was this cause that I was really interested in, but I had no idea what to do about it. It was all about, I would hear nonprofits doing work and I would hear about things happening, but I had no idea about how do I make that personal connection to a cause that I'm really interested in, and how do I support that. And so, my co-founder, we started talking about this, and I come from a tech background. I've worked in technology for pretty much the last 10, 12 years, all over San Francisco Bay Area. And my co-founder worked in finance and accounting. And so we said, there's all these systems that exist in technology and in accounting and finance that actually make things better, right? Like value, like create value, like technology. You create all these awesome, it's easier for me to buy like an underwear online than it is for me to do something meaningful and something great. And so we said, why does that happen? Why do I get much more fun and engagement out of doing something like buying a tie online than it is doing something meaningful and something impactful? So we started combining, using how do you take technology and solve a personal problem that I had or we had was, great, I care about things, but I don't know what to do about it. So we built Bright Funds as sort of as taking that idea of combining technology with that investment approach of sort of sophistication about doing impactful things with your money, and when you want to make a change in something, or when you want to create a value in something, you want to have a sophisticated approach to it. So we combine technology with investing to create Bright Funds. And what it is, at a very high level, is you build a portfolio of the things that you care about. So for me, as I said, education and developing countries, that's great. I want to support that. But I also care about sort of poverty relief in general or all over the world. And I care about water resources, making sure that everybody in the world has access to clean water. And talking about human rights, we just launched our human rights fund. So I want to make sure that, sex slavery, that's a terrible thing. Why does that happen? Why is technology beating us at creating the problem than we are at solving that problem? So those are the things that I care about. So I create sort of a portfolio of the things that matter to me. And Bright Funds identifies highly impactful nonprofits that are doing work in those different areas. So for the human rights funds, we look at sort of how do we take labor rights issues? What are the organizations that are working in labor rights? what are the organizations that are working in sort of physical security, making sure that like stuff like sex slavery and other things don't happen in the world, or organizations are working in those areas. And we combine all of these different facets, as we call them, and we look at organizations that are doing work in those areas, and we filter them and present it to you to make sure that every dollar that you give, or if you want to support this nonprofit, goes to these highly effective nonprofits that are solving the entire problem rather than just one aspect of it. And we make this available for individuals, obviously. You can go to brightfunds.org to look at it. You can also go to, we also make this available to companies. And that's where San Francisco and Bay and Oakland or Fremont, wherever we are the people who can make this happen. We just had this conversation with 3 tech companies today in San Francisco. If I tell the names, you know who they are until we sign them on. I'm not. But these are great tech companies. And you know what? The first thing they tell us, this is awesome. Why didn't this exist? Why didn't I create that, right? So this is technology helping me doing something that makes me feel good about myself and also is solving a real problem. And so that's the kind of conversation we are having. So we're making technology available to technology companies in San Francisco Bay Area. We're using Bright Funds as a way for employee giving and workplace giving. It's just like your 401k where you say, oh, I have my 401k for my investing, and I have my Bright Funds for making a change in the world, making the world a better place. We work with outstanding organizations. It's an honor to be here and be able to talk about Bright Funds and our thinking behind it. What the ethos of what Bright Funds is making sure that we use technology, we create something that's awesome, something that helps us build a better world and support the things that we care about and make a change in the things that we want to. Thank you for having us over. And if you guys want to talk about Bright Funds or anything else, find me. I'm right here. Or look us up on brightfunds.org. Thank you.